Managing interruptions and speaking turns in telephonic and video calls. Hello everyone, and welcome to our newest lesson on communication skills, specifically focusing on managing interruptions and speaking turns during telephone and video calls. Effective communication is essential to any conversation, but it becomes more vital when we're talking on the phone or through video calls. Today, we'll help you understand how to manage such scenarios better. In every conversation, there's a rhythm to how we speak and listen. We call this turn-taking. It involves knowing when to listen, when to respond, and when to initiate a conversation. Turn-taking is more challenging in telephone and video calls because we can't always rely on visual cues like we do in face-to-face communication. Thus, mastering this art is crucial for effective remote communication. It's normal for interruptions to happen in any dialogue, especially during phone and video calls. Sometimes, a delay in the connection can lead to talking over each other. At other times, eagerness to contribute may result in an unintentional interruption. Here are some strategies to handle interruptions gracefully. 1. Pause before responding. This gives the other person a chance to finish their thought. 2. If you get interrupted, you could say, "Excuse me, could I finish my point before we move on?" This is polite but assertive. 3. If you've interrupted someone, apologize promptly and ask them to continue. You could say, "I'm sorry for interrupting, please go on." Turn-taking can be a tricky skill to master, especially in a remote environment. But with a few simple strategies, it can become second nature. 1. Speak in shorter sentences. This gives the other person a chance to absorb what you're saying and respond. 2. Use phrases like, "What do you think?" or "Do you have any thoughts on this?" to invite the other person to take their turn. 3. If the other person seems to be dominating the conversation, you could say, "Could I add something here?" Both telephone and video calls require effective turn-taking and handling interruptions, but there are specific considerations for each mode. In telephone conversations, there are fewer visual cues. You need to listen carefully for changes in tone or pauses that signal it's your turn to speak. Video calls offer visual cues, so use them to your advantage. Nods and hand signals can indicate you want to speak next. That wraps up our lesson on managing interruptions and speaking turns in telephone and video calls. We hope these strategies make your remote conversations smoother and more efficient. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you use these techniques, the more naturally they'll come to you. Thanks for watching, and happy communicating.